Back to Rails Minute. Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Bostrom, Rails Member Engagement Manager, and I'm here with Monica Harris, Rails Associate Executive Director. So Rails Minute is our effort to bring you short videos where you can find out more about what is happening with Rails. Monica, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Dan.
Of course. So one of the things that people outside of our office might not know about you is that you are a very enthusiastic movie person.
It's true.
Can you tell us something that you've seen recently that you liked, or maybe like an old favorite that you watched recently?
Yeah, I mean, I know it wasn't everyone's favorite year for movies, but as someone who was like a bashed musical fan, there were like 4 musicals in my top 10 in 2021, so I was very excited. And I would say of those, the one that is the most like technically amazing is the West Side Story remake that Steven Spielberg did. I was very much not sure if I was up for a West Side Story remake, but it's incredible. And I think it's honestly the last time we're going to see a movie musical directed with that kind of a cast and budget and, technical proficiency in a way that I think everyone should watch. And it's on HBO if anybody has access to that. So
I saw that. That was I haven't seen it, but that was going to be my entry point into it. So that's good. Okay. Great recommendations. We're already providing recommendations for librarians, so that's good.
That's awesome.
Okay, so in February, Deirdre and I did one of these Rails Minutes, and we talked about the new strategic plan. You actually led that effort within Rails, and you also did a podcast with Deirdre about strategic planning and about the process. So we've covered it a lot, but is there anything else that you want to say about the process itself, or anything that you kind of see coming out of it that people should know about?
Yeah, it was a fascinating process. And for anybody who's interested in hearing more, I definitely encourage you to check out either the podcast that I recorded with Deirdre or the one that one of our consultants, Stephanie Chase, did with her back in January, which kind of really goes through all the aspects of that. I think the thing that might be most interesting to share today is just some of the great feedback we got from members heading into that process, which was, again, a real understanding that members look to Rails for inspiration and leadership. So an understanding that the goals that we're creating are things that our members would really like to see us lead on and move them towards ambitious activities that lead to long-term impact. So we were really able to kind of put our goals around that kind of a framework. And that they also want to be able to see Rails connect all different types of libraries and library types to each other and connect them to a larger community to learn more. So a lot of our goals are really built in service of those two things, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah, and very well summed up with that mission statement, right? We connect libraries.
Yes, so we have a brand new mission statement for anybody who doesn't know, and it's just 3 words, so it should be easy for everybody to remember, which is we connect libraries. That fits on a t-shirt. But I do think it's really important to understanding what Rails really does, because everything we do is in service of that connection and bringing libraries forward to the future.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. What else is going on? Is there anything that you'd like people to know about that is happening within the system?
I think one thing to pay attention to is a piece of legislation that's currently on the books. It's Senate Bill 3497, but it is one that actually allows for a library board, if they so choose, to adopt regulations that would waive the non-residence fee for persons under age 18. So it's a sort of expansion of the Cards for Kids Act, but instead of being a mandate as Cards for Kids was, it actually allows for local control by boards to determine how they'd like to approach that issue. And so for those libraries who already have sort of complex intergovernmental agreements in place with their local school districts, they can actually go ahead and just approve this by board vote, which makes it a simpler process. Or for those libraries who were interested in pursuing this before, but maybe were intimidated by the IGA process, this is a way to make it a little bit simpler. So again, just a bend towards more access and opportunity towards universal service, which was another big priority in the strategic plan and for the Rails board. So at this point, it has passed in the Senate and it has moved to the House, where there's a hearing coming in mid-March. So we're paying a lot of attention to where that's going. So hasn't happened yet, but it's something we're paying attention to. Yeah, and then let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that might be really, there's so much going on right now, but that's the big one that I would say pops to mind.
Well, and that's a great one because I do think that it is it's helpful to our members, and I will say that our members have been great about trying to move this forward. There's been so much interest right in this, and we get a lot of questions about it.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad to see that it's moving forward. You know, we'll continue to push for it, and hope that it turns out. So, okay, this is the point where we turn to member questions. And if you do have a question for Monica or me, you can email us at communications@railslibraries.info. Okay, so Monica, we've made some changes to the Rails internal masking guidelines and COVID protocols. Would you talk about these and especially how they might be relevant to our member libraries?
Yeah, I know so many of our libraries were looking at this issue when the governor, sort of changed the guidance, and then the CDC changed their guidance on indoor masking. And so Rails is sort of no different than a lot of our libraries in terms of having to look at our spaces and determine what we wanted to do, because making sure that we provide a safe workspace for Rails workers has been really important to us. So we wanted to approach this with safety, but also we've always tried to follow, the guidelines of what has been provided by the CDC and IDPH. So we didn't want to, stop doing that now. So that was part of what we were looking at. So masks are recommended, but not required in all of our Rails facilities now when social distancing is possible. And so we're defining social distancing as 6 feet apart or more. All of our meeting room spaces are being set up to allow for social distancing, which means that there's a lot less seating available in those spaces when you're trying to make them 6 feet apart, but that's how we're setting up the rooms for now. And when people are not able to social distance, then we do require masks. So those are sort of our 3 big pieces of that. We have continued with our testing program. I know we have previously shared some information about the Rails vaccination procedures, which include testing for non-vaccinated staff. And so we are continuing with that in this kind of new era of COVID safety. And we are looking at all of the guidelines as they continue to change, and recognize that our guidelines may need to change too with them.
Yeah, and this is everyone knows this is something that has changed frequently, and we've always tried to stay on top of it. We will. And we will continue to do so. And you can check out our COVID-19 pulse page for updates. And please look for those. So
absolutely, yes.
Okay, well, that will do it for us this week. Monica, thank you so much for joining me, and we will see everyone next time.
Thanks for having me, Dan. I'm looking forward to getting some questions.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.